Yo, y'all know what time it is when y'all see that, man. Y'all know what time it is when y'all see the disclaimer up there. Truck and Chubby from a fan's point of view podcast. It's okay to replay y'all and all that good stuff. We about to get up into it though. So Matt McChesney was up on the Jason Whitlock show this evening. And he had some things to say about the Colorado offensive line. Jason Whitlock just said they soft, and Matt McChesney said they were soft because of the offensive scheme. But I'm gonna let y'all hear it though. You know what I mean? I'm gonna let y'all hear it first, and then we just gonna rock out like that. I disagree, but I'm gonna get into my commentary afterwards. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play the whole the audio of it first. Let me see if I can get that pulled up here for y'all. Just play the audio, not
Can't sit
nothing
here and say
else.
they're not. They're dead last running the ball. They can't stop the run. They can't protect the passer. They can't rush the passer. And they are extremely undisciplined. These are all facts. Now, again, what we just talked about, are we going to learn from all this stuff that we've just been through in Boulder and look at the scheme? Because the scheme that Coach Lewis and Coach O'Boyle and the other coaches brought in offensively, that's what's soft. That's the problem, in my opinion. So when you are trying to play 4 and 5 wide all the time and you can't run the football out of the shotgun and you don't have 5 just ass kickers up front that can just line up and block guys, because you can't double team everybody. You've only got 5 offensive linemen. You got a receiving tight end, a guy who can't block. I saw them against TCU line up in 22 personnel with a fullback, or the defensive lineman at fullback, and mash TCU at the point of attack at the beginning of the year. And they never did it again. So my concern moving forward is Coach Prime going to look at what just happened and go, okay, my son is a first-round quarterback and might be the best quarterback in the country coming back next year, because this is a deep-ass class this year. We'll see what Caleb Williams and everybody does. Am I going to put him in a pro-style, offense that allows him to sit in the pocket and manipulate it? They don't sprint out. They don't bootleg. They have very, very few screen combinations, although they throw a lot of screens. It's always the same combination of screen where they're relying on wide receivers to block linebackers, and I'd rather have a guard on a linebacker. Change up your screens. They don't run 12 personnel, 13 personnel, 21 personnel, 22 personnel, 23 personnel, which is big personnel groupings where you can condense the field and run vertically at people. Everything they do is lateral to vertical, which is the zone read. But Shador doesn't run. I mean, he can run. He has ran, but he is not fleet of foot. He is not Caleb Williams. He's not one of these freaks that's just going to take off and go for 80. So
He absolutely can go for 80, Matt. Shador Sanders is not slow. We have seen Shador Sanders. Anybody that follow Well Off Media, every time Shador Sanders is running, he's running with the running backs and linebackers. He's not running with the offensive linemen. He's running with fast people on the team, and he's keeping up in the pack. He is not the fastest quarterback in college football, but Shador Sanders does have wheels. He's put them on display a few times. Now, to say that Sean Lewis's scheme was weak, to me, is compensating for some of his players that you may have trained. And I don't agree with that, Matt. But hey, look, we ain't here to agree with everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could agree to disagree. We ain't got to make this a whole argument or anything. And I know Matt looked out for me, and I still think that Matt McChesney should be the offensive line coach. Him, you know what I'm saying, on the offensive side of the ball, and Warren Sapp on the defensive side of the ball. I think him and Warren Sapp would make a hell of a team together with the trenches. You feel me? Like, I think there's no other better person. I already made a video about it explaining that. But when I heard this tonight on the Jason Whitlock show, now, I don't know if Matt was in defense of Colorado, because Jason Whitlock just came out and said that he wanted, that they was flat out soft. And I don't know why a whole lot of Colorado fans seem to be like really delusional when it come down to things. Like, if you can pay these young men like they young men, then you should absolutely be able to criticize them, right? You know what I mean? Every little piece of Colorado Buffalo gear that me or my family members that bought supports the school, the players, and everything else. So I can speak on whatever the fuck I feel like I want to speak on when it comes to Colorado, period, point blank, from a fan's point of view. And I'm coming like that. Now let's make this clear. Let's be aware that a lot of people is going, y'all be ready you know what I'm saying, fans point of view, truck and chubby fans, be ready to be hearing like, oh, he don't know what he talking about, we discrediting it like the normal, he's not a pro, he's never been on this kind of field or this or that. No, but what I see, from what I fucking see, period, point blank, and I did play football and I know the basis of football. I'm teaching the youngins. I got the little babies, but the first, you know what I'm saying, it's a totally different. Me teaching them the fundamentals of football and them lacking on the fundamentals. They're lacking on the fundamental aspects of football. Put a helmet on a damn helmet. As simple as that. We seen so many times that this offensive line for Colorado just didn't even hit nobody. They didn't even put their bodies in the way. And that's why Shedeur is sitting there with a fractured fucking back. Let's just be real here. Because they didn't block nobody. Now we seen Sean Lewis's offense, and everybody keeps saying Sean Lewis. Sean Lewis had Kent State. And if you go back and you look at the film Kent State versus Georgia, I don't care how old it was. This is why Coach Prime even went for Sean Lewis, because Sean Lewis is a damn genius. He knows what he's doing. Don't quit discrediting that man. It didn't work because the offensive line was soft and they wasn't hitting nobody. That's why this didn't work. It just didn't work because they just was not blocking. Period, point blank. They just did not block. We seen so many games to where they did not block. We seen games where they were blocking. But for anything to work, they have to block. I don't care what kind of offense you're running. If your offensive line is not blocking, it is not going to work. I don't have to be a pro to know that this offensive line was not blocking, and that scheme that Sean Lewis had coming from over at Kent State, it was a lot of hype behind that, and it worked. It worked for a lot of games. And when shit went wrong with that offense, do y'all remember when Shedeur said, that was me, I take blame, I changed the play? Do y'all remember that? Do y'all remember that? Now I know it's easier for y'all to sit there and for people to sit there and gang up on the offensive coordinator and say that the offensive coordinator is bad. No, he is not. No, he is not. I'm telling you, he's not. Sean Lewis is a great coach. He's relatable. A lot of people play for him. If you look at the offensive line he had in that film versus UGA, it was the best showing of his offense versus a powerhouse of a defense. And I'm telling you right now, you will see that quarterback moving enough. Shedeur don't gotta go for 80 to scramble and roll outside of the pocket. Shit, Russell Wilson ain't going to go for 80 yards. He could, but he could run and he make things work. Drew Brees wasn't going for 80, but he scrambled and made things work. I just think that there was some type of disconnect between Sean Lewis and Shedeur Sanders. Therefore, it didn't work. But look, that's not why I'm here to speculate. But what I'm here to say is that that's a bunch of BS, though. The fact that they wasn't trying to hit somebody, that's crazy. We seen games where they wasn't blocking. Literally, UCLA was running right past the offensive line and hitting Shedeur. That's crazy, bruh. The last game versus Washington State University, they was getting back there killing Shedeur too. Like CSU, they couldn't even block the African defensive end off the edge. He was getting back there. He had a field day on Shedeur until he got ejected. Come on, bruh. Like y'all gotta see this. Y'all have to see these type of things, man. Like, it's crazy that. And you know what I'm saying, it's crazy that a lot of people think outside of the box and they want to blame our excellent head coach. The problem was they wasn't blocking. Had that offensive line blocked like they did versus Arizona the whole season, or versus TCU the whole season, they would have been okay. Now, when they was in that 22-23 personnel versus a TCU, where they had Bishop Thomas go to fullback, that was called the Rick Ross package. They never ran it again. I don't know why they never ran it again. They said they couldn't run the ball. The couple of times I seen Alton McCaskill touch the ball, it was only for 3 yards. But guess what I did see? I seen offensive linemen putting helmets on helmets. I seen them pushing. They were standing in front of somebody, and it looked good to me. It looked tough. It made them look tough. But they just wasn't doing that every single game. That was the most inconsistent thing about Colorado University, was their offensive line, period. And when it came down to it, some of the time Shedeur made some bad reads, and he audibled, and Sean Lewis gave him the choice of doing that. So when it came down for him getting the blame for everything, he had to take it and suck it up to say, you know, what went wrong. Well, I let Shedeur go ahead and run his audible. You know what I'm saying? He was letting Shedeur run that audible, but then it just became time for him to get up out of there. And it didn't look that good with Pat Schumer in there. No, it didn't. But guess what happened just this last game that they did play? They ran the ball very effectively, what they could have been doing all season. And I think that they just didn't run the ball enough. They just didn't try to run the ball enough, and that hurt the offensive line more than it helping it. And it made the offensive line look soft, because when you just dropping back in passes, and your defensive line could just pin their ears back and run, y'all know that's easy money. Come on, man. It don't take a rocket. It don't take me to be a pro to sit here and know these things, man. It don't. But I'm ready to hear all the I don't know what this is, and I don't know what that is, and all this and that. And that's the only thing people could do, is discredit me when I come up with a good ass argument, because that's just the facts. The facts is the facts. I don't care who you get. You can go get Andy. If nobody blocks for Patrick Mahomes, his offense don't look that well. Period. We know this. It don't take rocket science to know it. They was inconsistent as hell. Like, that was the most inconsistent thing that Colorado had, was their trenches, period. Like, you know what I'm saying? The most consistent defensive lineman on the Colorado Buffaloes was Jordan Dominic, period, point blank. He was back there eating every game. Every game he made plays, but he couldn't have did that without the rest of them on the defensive line doing their job. So, you know what I'm saying? You got to give it up to all of them, because he was just shining, making the plays, but they was in their gaps and doing what they needed to do for Jordan Dominic to do what he needed to do. So that defense definitely stepped it up, but that offensive line was not that. It was so inconsistent. And I know I got fired up about that, and I got passionate a little bit about, you know what I'm saying, Sean Lewis, because I've actually watched Kent State, and I seen what Kent State can do now. Yeah, now the MAC is a big jump, to the Pac-12 is a big jump, but the offensive line, they wasn't scared to bang. Even though they came from the MAC, they was not scared to go against them big ass Georgia defensive linemen, and they was down there banging with them and them linebackers. They was getting bodies on bodies. Now, it did look like the offensive line was timid, and they was scared to block. Like, period. Like, I don't see how you just let somebody just goes right past you. Like, literally right past you. Literally, we seen it, y'all. We seen it. Y'all could sit there and deny it. Y'all could come up with Truck and Chubby's another Colorado hater. You got to be a Colorado hater every time you criticize Colorado, because Coach Prime is going to hit the table and say, do you believe? Or you didn't believe because you had something to say. Like, that's crazy. And y'all's whack for that. Like, that don't make no sense to me, bro. That don't make no sense. I'm doing my job. But y'all not gonna like everything I have to say. Period, point blank. It's just a fact. Nobody's gonna like everything I have to say. If I'm doing my job correctly, you're not gonna like everything I have to say. I'm not here to please everything a man want me to say. I'm here to call out what I see, and when I know it's BS, it's BS. Like, that's just crazy to me, man. You know what I'm saying? That's just period, like period, point blank with that. I'm not jacking that whole situation, and it really turns me off so much to say that we can't criticize. And I know he's an African, I know he's a black head coach, but there's so many other black head coaches, and no, I don't agree with everything Jason Whitlock had to say, but one thing Jason Whitlock said that I had to agree with, and it made perfect sense to me, right? Y'all praising the hell out of Colorado for winning 4 games, right? For winning 4 games. They won 1 game last year. Nobody's talking about, and I be on it, but nobody's talking about how Northwestern won 1 game last year. They only won 1 game last year. They had a first-time head coach step in, and now they won 7 games. That was fact. That hit different. So, I mean, yeah, we can sit here and we can man, look, man, I loved everything about Dion. I still do. But like that make me different because the team lost. Like they sucked, y'all. Period. Point blank. Will they do better next year? I sure hope so. I sure hope so. I hope so. I want them to. Because like who wasn't a Deion Sanders fan? Who wasn't, man? You name an 80s baby that wasn't a Deion Sanders fan. You can't name one. You just can't name one. Period. Point blank. You cannot name one. You can't. So it's just so hard to do so. But at the same time though, you gotta sit there and you gotta really open your eyes up and say that they was horrible, and it dropped the ball the way that, you know what I'm saying, you know what, you know, this old saying, right? And I'm gonna be done with it, and I'm gonna be done with the whole thing. Now my grandma used to say this, and I know somebody in your family say this to you too. Don't write a check. Don't let your mouth write a check that your ass can't cash. Or period. So we got sold on a good season. A lot of people believed it. A lot of people believed the hype when they came out and they fired back. And but they just he kept on talking the way that he was, his bravado was, his confidence was up there and everything else, and then they started getting smacked in the mouth, and it shocked everybody because we didn't expect that. Not when you talking like that. When you talking, you got to back it up. You know what I'm saying? Now he did say you better get your licks in this year, but ain't nobody think they was gonna have a 4-8 season. That's crazy. That's crazy. With arguably the best quarterback in the whole NCAA, man, you got to be shitting me, man.